Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
My wife turned my promotion celebration into a roast of our marriage. What she thought would be funny entertainment became the moment I stopped fighting for us. She's still trying to understand why I won't come back inside. Silence is a language most people don't speak fluently. They mistake it for absence when it's actually the clearest form of communication. When you stop explaining yourself, stop defending your choices, stop trying to make someone understand, that's when you're finally speaking the truth. It started 3 weeks ago when I got the call. Senior partner. The position I'd been working toward for 6 years, through 60-hour weeks and missed dinners and late nights at the office. I called her from my car in the parking garage, hands shaking with excitement. I got it, I said. They offered me senior partner. There was a pause. Too long. That's great, she finally said. We should celebrate. Something in her tone felt rehearsed, like she'd been expecting this conversation and had prepared her response. But I was too excited to analyze it. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do something nice this weekend. I'll handle it, she said. Consider it my gift to you. All those long hours are finally paying off, right? The way she said long hours had an edge to it, but I let it slide. She'd been making comments like that for months, little jabs about my dedication to work, about how I was never home, about how I seemed to love my job more than her. I'd told myself she was just feeling neglected, that once this promotion came through, I could scale back, be more present. The week leading up to Saturday, she was constantly on her phone, texting, smiling to herself, typing out long messages. When I asked who she was coordinating with, she'd say, "Just making sure everyone can make it. It's going to be perfect." She showed me 3 different dresses on Friday night. Which one says celebration more? The red one, the black one, or the blue one? They're all nice, I said. That's not helpful. She held up the red one. This one. This is the one. She was treating this like a performance, I realized. But I figured she was just excited to celebrate with me. Saturday evening, we drove to Russo's, the expensive Italian place downtown with the private dining rooms. She'd been doing her makeup for an hour, her hair for another 45 minutes. She looked beautiful, but there was something in her energy that made me uneasy. So who's going to be there? I asked as we pulled into the parking lot. You'll see. She checked her phone one more time. Just follow my lead tonight, okay? We walked into the private dining room, and I stopped in the doorway. 25 people. My parents, her parents, my boss and his wife, 4 of our closest couple friends, her sister and brother-in-law, my younger brother, several colleagues from work. The room was decorated with congratulations banners. There was a small bar set up, and in the corner, a microphone stand. Surprise, she said, squeezing my arm. Everyone applauded as we entered. My mother hugged me. My father shook my hand with pride in his eyes. My boss clapped me on the shoulder. Congratulations. Well deserved. Dinner was perfect. The wine flowed. Conversations overlapped. Laughter filled the room. I started to relax. This was nice. She'd done something thoughtful. I caught her eye across the table and mouthed, "Thank you." She smiled, but it wasn't the smile I expected. It was anticipatory, like she was waiting for something. Dessert arrived around 9. The lights dimmed slightly. She stood up, walked to the microphone, and tapped it. The feedback squeal got everyone's attention. "Can I have everyone's attention?" she said. Her voice amplified through the small sound system. "I want to say a few words about my husband on this special night." People settled into their seats, smiling. "Toast time. We're here to celebrate his promotion to senior partner," she began. 6 years of hard work, late nights, weekends at the office. He's finally made it. She paused, and I thought, who better to roast the man of the hour than the woman who's lived with him for 6 years and seen behind the curtain? A few people chuckled nervously. Roast. That word settled in my chest like ice. "Now, everyone talks about work-life balance," she continued, getting into a rhythm. "But my husband? He's perfected work-life imbalance. He's married to his job. I'm just the mistress he comes home to when he needs clean laundry and a hot meal." More laughter, louder this time. I sat very still. She did an impression of me on work calls, hunched over, speaking in exaggerated serious tones. "Yes, I'll have that report done by Monday. No, I can't come to bed yet. This is important." People laughed. She was good at this. She'd practiced. "Our honeymoon in Maui," she said. "Beautiful beaches, sunset views, romantic dinners. And there's my husband, taking a work call at the restaurant." I'm sitting there watching the sun go down alone while he's discussing quarterly projections. That had been an emergency call from a client. She knew that. She left that detail out. And let's talk about our intimacy life, she said, and my stomach dropped. Or as I like to call it, the bi-weekly board meeting. Scheduled, efficient, over in time for him to check his emails before sleep. The room went quiet for a beat. Then some of her friends laughed. My mother's smile looked frozen. My boss's wife glanced at her husband uncomfortably. She kept going. Impressions of my hobbies. I restore vintage motorcycles, and she made it sound like I was a child playing with toys in the garage. A story about me falling asleep during a movie on our anniversary, leaving out the part where she'd chosen a 3-hour foreign film after I'd worked 14 hours. A joke about his parents. Who raises a son who thinks a romantic gesture is remembering to text when he'll be late? 10 minutes. She performed for 10 full minutes. Some people laughed. Some looked uncomfortable. One of our couple friends caught my eye and mouthed, "I'm sorry." She ended with a flourish. So here's to my husband, the hardest working man I know, even if I sometimes have to schedule an appointment to see him. To the new senior partner. She raised her glass. A few people raised theirs hesitantly. There was scattered applause. I stood up slowly. Every eye in the room turned to me. She was smiling, expectant, probably waiting for my rebuttal toast, some playful banter to continue the show. I looked at my parents. "Thank you for coming." My mother started to say something, but I'd already turned to my boss. "See you Monday, sir." Then I looked at her. She was still holding the microphone, still smiling, but something in her expression was starting to shift. She could see I wasn't playing along. I didn't say anything to her. Not one word. I turned and walked out of the private dining room. The door closed behind me with a soft click that felt deafening in my ears. I got in my car, sat in the driver's seat, and stared at the steering wheel for 2 full minutes. Not crying. Not angry. Just perfectly, crystallinely clear. She had taken my achievement and turned it into her comedy material. She'd used my success as a stage for her resentment. She'd humiliated me in front of my boss, my parents, our friends. And she'd done it on purpose. Practiced it. Planned it. Thought it would be entertaining. I drove home to my house. I'd bought it before we got married, my name alone on the deed. I opened the bottle of scotch my father had given me when I made junior partner. I sat in my garage workshop next to my half-restored 1972 Triumph Bonneville and thought about respect. My phone started buzzing around 10:30. I turned it off. She didn't come home that night. I assumed she stayed with her sister, expecting me to call and apologize for not playing my assigned role in her performance. I didn't call. I sat in the workshop until 2 in the morning, not working on the bike, just thinking about the small comments she'd been making for months, about how she talked about me to her friends, about how I'd been making myself smaller to make her feel better about my success. Sunday morning, I woke at 7, made coffee, and made a list. Called my lawyer friend, got a referral for a divorce attorney, took photographs of important documents, started boxing up her belongings from our bedroom, not thrown around, carefully organized, labeled each box clearly, stacked them neatly in the garage. By noon, I had new locks on all the doors. At 2 p.m., I sent her a text. "Your belongings are in the garage. New key available when you pick them up. Contact through text only." She called immediately. I didn't answer. The voicemail, what the hell? It was a joke. Everyone laughed. "You're being insane right now. Call me back." Then the text started. "You're being ridiculous." It was funny. "God, you're so sensitive." "Fine, if you want to act like a child. Call me right now." I responded once. "I'm not angry. I'm done." She called 15 more times that day. I blocked her number, unblocked it for texts only, reblocked calls. Monday morning, I went to work. Everything felt lighter somehow. I got to my office early, prepared for my meetings, responded to congratulations emails. Around 10, my boss called me in. He closed the door. "That was uncomfortable Saturday night." "Yes, sir. I want you to know the promotion stands. You earned it. Your personal life is your business." He paused. "But that was cruel. What she did. My wife said so on the drive home." "I appreciate that." A colleague stopped by around lunch. "Hey man, my wife wanted me to tell you that what your wife did was really messed up. We felt awful." Another colleague avoided eye contact in the hallway. Awkwardness is contagious. My work friend Jennifer, a colleague I'd known for 5 years, came by at the end of the day. "You okay?" "Better than okay," I said. "Clearer." She studied my face. You look different. Calmer somehow. I feel like I can breathe, I said. Tuesday brought messages from friends. 2 couples from the dinner reached out privately. That wasn't funny. That was mean. We laughed because we were shocked. It wasn't real laughter. My college roommate called. Dude, I've never seen you that calm. It was scary. Scary. Scary because you weren't playing along. You just left. Like she didn't matter anymore. Wednesday, her friends started reaching out to me. She's really upset. She didn't mean it that way. How did she mean it? I asked. She was trying to be funny. She was trying to humiliate me, I said. She succeeded. I'm just responding accordingly. Thursday evening, she showed up at the house. I watched from the upstairs window as she knocked on the front door. The locks had been changed. She knew that. I told her. But she knocked anyway. After 20 minutes of knocking, she called out loud enough for neighbors to hear. I know you're in there. This is ridiculous. We're still married. I opened the window. Didn't step out, just opened it 6 inches. You should leave. She looked up, relief flooding her face. Finally, can we please just talk like adults? We are talking. I'm telling you to leave. Why are you doing this? Why are you being so cruel? Cruel would be humiliating you in front of 25 people for entertainment. I'm just enforcing boundaries. It was a joke. Why can't you understand that? I do understand it. That's the problem. You think our marriage is joke material. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Explain to me the joke. What was funny about telling my boss we barely have intimacy? What was funny about mocking me in front of my parents? She stammered. Everyone does that. Everyone jokes about their spouse. Do they? Did anyone else get up with a microphone and perform a 10-minute routine about their partner's failures? Or was it just you? You're twisting this. I'm seeing it clearly for the first time. That's what you can't handle. Please, she said, and her voice cracked. Please just let me come inside. Let me explain properly. You explained yourself perfectly Saturday night. You don't respect me. You resent my success. You think dedication to work makes me a bad husband. I heard every word. I don't think that. You said it in front of 25 witnesses. Which version am I supposed to believe? The private backtracking or the public performance? She had no answer for that. Go home, I said. To your sister's place. That's your home now. I closed the window. She sat on the front steps for another 40 minutes before leaving. The note she left in the mailbox went straight into the trash. My brother texted that night. She called me. Says you won't talk to her. Correct. Want to talk about it? Nothing to talk about. She made her feelings public. I'm respecting them. She told me you were being dramatic. That it was just a joke at a party. Did she tell you what the joke was? Not specifically. I sent him a text with bullet points. Everything she'd said. The mockery of my work. The impression of me being a boring husband. The shots at my hobbies. The bit about my parents. He called immediately. Jesus Christ. Yeah. And she did this in front of mom and dad. And my boss. And our friends. With a microphone. I'm calling her back. Don't bother. She'll just tell you I'm being sensitive. You're not being sensitive. You're being sane. If someone did that to me, he stopped. Actually, I don't know what I'd do. Probably not handle it as well as you are. I'm not handling it. I'm just done. There's a difference between being done and being cruel about it. I haven't been cruel. I changed the locks and asked for space. She's the one showing up everywhere, calling everyone we know, making it into a bigger drama than it needs to be. She told me you won't even listen to her apology. She hasn't apologized. She's explained why she did it, justified it, and told me I'm overreacting. But she hasn't apologized for doing it. My brother was quiet for a moment. You know what's weird? I'm not even surprised. She's always had this edge to her, like she resented you for being successful. You noticed that? Everyone noticed it. We just didn't say anything because it wasn't our place. That hit me hard. Everyone had seen it but me. Or maybe I'd seen it and just made excuses. Friday, I went to the gym after work, then to the grocery store. Normal routine. I ran into one of the couples from the dinner in the produce section. Hey, the husband said uncomfortably. We wanted to apologize for laughing. We didn't know what else to do. Not your fault, I said. You were put in an uncomfortable position. Saturday, I worked on the motorcycle in the garage with the door open. My neighbor walked over, older guy who'd lived on the street for 20 years. Heard you got promoted. Congratulations. Thanks. Also heard your wife's staying with her sister. He looked at me carefully. You okay? I'm fine. Really fine. He nodded slowly. Sometimes fine is better than good. Fine means you're not pretending anymore. The second week, her desperation campaign began in earnest. Monday, flowers arrived at my office. The card said, "I'm sorry. Can we talk? I miss you." I had my assistant donate them to the hospital down the street. Tuesday, an email appeared in my inbox before I could block that too. Long paragraphs about how she thought it would be funny, how everyone jokes about work-life balance, how she didn't mean to hurt me, how I was overreacting, how she needed her husband back. I blocked her email without responding. Wednesday, her mother called. Very apologetic. I don't know what she was thinking. What she said at that dinner. That's not how marriage works. I appreciate you saying that. I told her it was cruel. She said you'd think it was funny. Her mother sighed. I raised her better than that. Can I ask you something? I said. Did she tell you what she was planning? There was a long pause. She told me she was going to roast you a little. I thought she meant a toast with some gentle teasing. When she told me afterward what she actually said, her voice caught. I was horrified. Did you tell her that? I did. She got defensive. Said everyone at the party was laughing, so it must have been fine. I told her that people laugh when they're uncomfortable too. She didn't want to hear it. That sounds familiar. I want you to know something, her mother continued. Her father and I have been married 38 years. Not once have I ever spoken about him that way, publicly or privately. What she did wasn't normal spousal teasing. It was cruel. And if you've decided you can't come back from that, I understand. Thank you. That means more than you know. She's my daughter, and I love her. But she's wrong about this. She's been wrong, and she won't admit it. After we hung up, I sat there thinking about how even her own mother couldn't defend what she'd done. That told me everything I needed to know. By the end of the second week, I'd been invited to 3 separate social events by couple friends. Just me, not us as a couple. One friend explained it gently. We like you both, but what she did, we're not sure how to be around her right now. Her sister texted me. She's a mess, crying all the time. I responded, I'm sorry she's upset. I'm not responsible for managing her emotions. You're her husband. She told 25 people I was a joke. I don't think she thinks of me as her husband. Week 3, Saturday afternoon, I was at the motorcycle parts shop across town. She walked in. She'd been tracking me somehow. We need to talk, she said in front of 3 other customers and the shop owner. No, we don't. You can't just ignore me forever. I'm not ignoring you. I'm responding very clearly. You made it public that you don't respect me. I'm respecting your honesty by removing myself from your life. It was a joke. Her voice was rising. Jokes are funny. What you did was a performance of contempt. There's a difference. Oh my God, contempt? I was trying to be entertaining. You were. You entertained 25 people at my expense. Congratulations. You succeeded. Why are you like this? Why can't you just accept an apology and move on? You haven't apologized. You've explained. You've justified. You've told me I'm too sensitive. But you haven't once said, I'm sorry I hurt you. You're sorry I reacted wrong. That's different. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Fine. I'm sorry I hurt you. There. Can we please just go somewhere and talk? No. Why not? Because you're not sorry you did it. You're sorry it didn't work out the way you wanted. You're sorry I didn't play along. You're sorry there are consequences. But you're not sorry you stood up there and mocked me. How do you know what I'm sorry for? Because if you were actually sorry for doing it, you would have led with that. Not with it was just a joke. Not with everyone does this. Not with you're too sensitive. You would have said, I humiliated you and it was wrong. But you didn't. You defended it. Her eyes were filling with tears. I don't know what you want from me. I don't want anything from you. That's the point you keep missing. We were married for 6 years, and you ended it Saturday night. I'm just signing the paperwork. I didn't end anything. You told 25 people our marriage was a joke. My dedication to work. My hobbies. Everything. You made it public. So it's public now. We're publicly done. The shop owner, a big guy with a gray beard, stepped around the counter. Ma'am, I think you should leave. This is my husband. The shop owner looked at me, then back at her. Don't look like he wants to be. She turned back to me, mascara starting to run. You're really going to do this? Just throw everything away? I'm not throwing anything away. I'm accepting what you threw away Saturday night. You just didn't expect me to actually let it hit the ground. She left crying. I bought my parts, and the shop owner said, "That took guts." What did? Not folding. Most guys would have caved when she started crying. Tears don't undo words, I said, especially words she practiced. Midweek, my boss mentioned casually that my promotion was being formalized next month and corporate wanted me to speak at the regional conference. Work was thriving. I was thriving. Without the constant undercurrent of her resentment, I could actually enjoy my success. Jennifer mentioned it at lunch. "You seem different. Lighter." "I feel like I can breathe," I said. I've been dimming myself for months to make her feel better about my success. Week 4, she posted on social media a photo from our wedding day with a caption about fighting for love and marriage being work, carefully worded to make me seem like I was abandoning her. The comments didn't go the way she expected. "Maybe don't roast your husband publicly next time." One of her own friends. "Girl, you humiliated him. These are consequences." My college roommate. "He worked on the marriage. For years. While you took shots." She deleted the post within 4 hours. Friday of week 4, I met with a divorce attorney. The consultation was straightforward. House in my name. Her student loans in her name. I'd been paying them for 3 years. No kids. No shared assets except a joint checking account with minimal balance. "This is very clean," the attorney said. "She'll probably fight it emotionally, but legally it's simple." "She will fight it," I agreed. "But I won't. You seem very calm about this." I made my decision when I walked out of that restaurant. Everything since has just been confirmation. Saturday afternoon, 3 of her friends showed up at my house. I answered the door. "Can we talk to you about her?" the spokesperson asked. "You can talk. I'll listen." They explained. She was devastated. She didn't mean it. She loved me. She was trying to be funny like couples do. "Do you humiliate your husband in front of his boss and parents?" I asked the spokesperson. "Well, no, but..." "Then it's not what couples do. It's what she did." The second friend tried. "She says you won't even talk to her." What is there to say? She told 25 people everything wrong with me and our marriage. She didn't miss anything. I heard her loud and clear. The third friend. "But you could forgive her." "I could," I said. "But I won't. Because she didn't make a mistake. She chose to do that. She planned it. She rehearsed it. She decided my promotion was her stage. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice." The first friend, the one who'd laughed loudest at the dinner, stepped forward. "Look, she's been crying for 3 weeks straight. She can't eat, can't sleep. She knows she messed up. Isn't that enough?" "Enough for what?" "Enough for you to at least hear her out." I heard her out. For 10 minutes. With a microphone. In front of everyone who matters to me. She had her say. Now she gets to live with what she said. "You're really going to throw away 6 years over one bad night?" "She threw away 6 years," I said. "I'm just accepting the reality she created." She stood up in front of my boss and told him we barely have intimacy. She stood up in front of my parents and told them I'm a terrible husband. She stood up in front of our friends and made our marriage into a comedy routine. Which part of that should I forgive? The part where she's human and made a mistake. Mistakes are accidental. She booked a venue, sent invitations, wrote material, rehearsed timing, and executed a plan. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. And I'm making mine. The second friend's voice got sharp. "You know what? Maybe she was right about you. Maybe you are cold." "Maybe I am," I said. "Or maybe I just have enough self-respect not to let someone use my biggest professional achievement as an opportunity to list everything they hate about me. You're welcome to interpret it however you want." "She doesn't hate you. Could have fooled me. And 24 other people." The third friend, who'd been quiet, finally spoke. "What would it take? For you to even consider talking to her?" I thought about it for a moment. Nothing. There's nothing she could say or do. Because even if I believed she was sorry, and I don't, I'd never trust her again. I'd never feel safe succeeding around her. I'd never feel confident that my wins wouldn't become her material. And I refuse to spend the rest of my life making myself smaller so she can feel bigger. That's not fair to her. Fair would have been having a private conversation about her feelings. Fair would have been telling me she felt neglected instead of announcing it to a room full of people. She didn't want fair. She wanted applause. She got it. Now she wants me back too. But she doesn't get both. They left without another word, and I could see them on the sidewalk having an intense whispered argument before they got in their car. Week 5 brought the first genuinely cold autumn night. Tuesday evening, Temperature dropping to 45 degrees, drizzling rain. I was in the garage working on the Triumph. Door cracked for ventilation, heat lamp on. Around 9, I saw headlights. Her car. She got out wearing just a sweater, no jacket. Walked to the front door. Knocked. I turned off the garage light and watched from the kitchen window. She knocked for 5 minutes, then sat on the front steps. Rain was getting heavier. She was getting soaked. She looked up at the bedroom window where the light was on. I stood there, visible. She saw me, stood up, gestured. Please. I closed the curtain. She sat back down. I made dinner, ate slowly, washed the dishes. At 11, I checked the window. She was still there, shivering visibly, soaked through, occasionally crying. I went to bed in the master bedroom and slept soundly. Around 2 a.m., I woke to use the bathroom and checked the front window. She was still there, shivering, soaked through. I stood at the window for a full minute, watching her. She looked up, saw me silhouetted in the window, stood up, water dripping from her hair, and mouthed, please. I opened the window. The cold air rushed in, carrying the sound of rain. Go home, I said. This is my home. Her voice was raw, desperate. It was. You gave that up when you made our marriage a punchline. I'll do anything. Counseling, therapy, whatever you want. Just please let me come inside. Why? What? Why should I let you inside? Give me one good reason. Because I'm your wife. You told 25 people you weren't sure why you were still married to me. You told them I was a terrible husband. You told them our intimacy life was a joke. So which is it? Are you my wife, or am I your material? I was wrong. I know I was wrong. You knew you were wrong when you were writing it. You knew you were wrong when you practiced it. You knew you were wrong when you booked the venue. You did it anyway. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. People make bad choices. People mess up. They do. And people live with consequences. This is yours. So that's it. I have to be perfect, or you just discard me. Perfect? No. Respectful? Yes. You couldn't clear that incredibly low bar. I respected you for 6 years. Did you? Because the woman who respects her husband doesn't make him into a comedy routine. The woman who respects her husband doesn't mock his dedication to work while living in the house that work paid for. The woman who respects her husband doesn't air their private life in front of his boss for laughs. She was crying hard now, barely able to speak. I love you. You love the idea of not being alone. You love having someone to resent. You love having an audience for your suffering. But you don't love me. Because you can't love someone you don't respect. That's not true. Then explain the routine. Explain why you thought it was acceptable. Explain what went through your mind when you stood up with that microphone. She couldn't. She just stood there in the rain, shaking, no words left. Go to your sisters, I said. Get warm. Get dry. Move on. I don't want to move on. Then sit in the rain. But I'm closing this window and going back to sleep. Because I have work tomorrow and a meeting about my next promotion and a life that feels lighter without you in it. I closed the window. She screamed something I couldn't make out through the glass. I went back to bed. At 6 a.m., I checked again. She was gone. Wednesday morning, there was a soggy envelope in the mailbox. A handwritten letter. I finally understand what I did. I turned your moment into my showcase. I didn't respect you. I took you for granted. I used your success to make myself feel relevant. I know I can't undo it. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know I finally understand why you left. I read it twice. Felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not anger. Not sadness. Just nothing. I put the letter in my desk drawer and didn't respond. Week 6, I filed for divorce officially. She was served papers at her sister's house. Her attorney called mine. She doesn't want to fight it. She'll sign whatever. My parents took me to dinner that weekend. We're proud of how you've handled this, my father said. Walking away with dignity is harder than staying and fighting, he continued. You chose the harder thing. My mother touched my hand. I never liked how she talked about you to her friends. Like you were an inconvenience. Week 7, I attended the regional conference and gave my speech about dedication and sacrifice. Didn't mention marriage or divorce. Colleagues congratulated me afterward. You seem different than a few months ago, one said. More present. I am more present, I told him. I'm not apologizing for existing anymore. Week 8, Saturday afternoon, I went to the coffee shop I used to avoid because it was her favorite place. I was done avoiding places. This was my city too. She was there with her sister. Our eyes met for a moment. I nodded once, Neutral acknowledgement, nothing more. She looked like she might come over. I returned to my book. Her sister stood up, but she pulled her back down. They had a whispered argument I couldn't hear, but could read in their body language. Her sister looked angry. She looked defeated. After 10 minutes, they got up to leave. As they passed my table, her sister stopped. "You're really not going to even say hello?" The sister said. "Hello," I said without looking up from my book. "You're an asshole." "Maybe. But I'm an asshole who doesn't have to hear about how terrible he is anymore. It's a fair trade." She made one mistake. She made a calculated choice. I corrected. And I made mine. My wife grabbed her sister's arm. "Come on. Let's just go." Her sister jerked away. "No. He needs to hear this. You're destroying her. She barely eats. She can't sleep. She had to take leave from work because she can't function." "I'm sorry she's struggling," I said, and I meant it. But I didn't do that to her. She did it to herself. By making a joke, I finally looked up, made eye contact with my wife, who looked away immediately. Ask her to tell you the joke. Ask her to repeat, word for word, what she said about our intimacy life. About my work. About our marriage. Ask her to tell you in front of me. If it was just a joke, it should be easy to repeat. The sister looked at her. "What did you say exactly?" She didn't answer. Couldn't look at either of us. "That's what I thought," I said, returning to my book. "It's only funny when the target isn't standing there. That's not a joke. That's cruelty." They left without another word. The barista came over after they were gone. "That was your wife, right?" "Ex-wife, I guess. She used to talk about you when she came in." "What did she say?" "Mostly complaints. About your work, your hours. We all thought she was unhappy." "She was," I said. "That's why I left." "Other way around, no?" "She left the marriage first. I just made it official." 3 months after that dinner, the divorce was finalized the week before Thanksgiving. I spent the holiday with my parents and brother. Peaceful. Quiet. No tension. "You going to date again?" my brother asked. "Maybe eventually. No rush. I'm enjoying being alone without being lonely." "What's the difference?" "Alone is peaceful. Lonely is what I was when I was married to someone who resented me." I learned through a mutual friend that she'd moved to a different part of the city, still working at the same company, but we had no overlap. "She asks about you sometimes," the friend told me over coffee. "How you're doing." "What do you tell her?" "That you're good. That you seem happy." "She says she wishes she could go back and undo that night." "We all have moments we'd undo," I said. "The difference is living with the consequences." "Do you ever think about reaching out?" "No. Not even curiosity. I hope she's okay. I hope she learned something. But it's not my problem anymore." Late December, a week before Christmas, I finished restoring the Triumph. Took it out for its first ride in 3 years. It purred perfectly. I stopped at an overlook outside the city. Cold night, but clear. I thought about the last 6 months. Someone once asked if I regretted being so cold about the divorce. If I should have given her a second chance, let her explain, let her apologize properly. But respect isn't something you can lose publicly and regain privately. Trust isn't something you can mock in front of 25 people and rebuild with tears. She'd shown me who she was. Someone who would sacrifice my dignity for a laugh. Someone who thought my achievement was her opportunity to perform. Someone who valued entertainment over partnership. I didn't leave because I stopped loving her. I left because she'd already left the marriage. She just didn't realize it until I walked out of that restaurant. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let someone experience the full weight of their choices. Not to punish them, but because that's the only way they learn. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is walk away from someone who doesn't see your worth. Even if they're crying in the rain. Even if they're sitting on your front steps in the cold. Even if they finally understand what they did wrong. Because understanding doesn't undo the choice. And an apology doesn't erase the contempt. I started the motorcycle and headed home. Tomorrow I had a meeting about my next promotion. Life continues. And for the first time in years, I was genuinely excited about it. People ask if I miss her. I miss the idea of who I thought she was. But I don't miss the woman who thought my success was her comedy material. I don't miss walking on eggshells around my own achievements. I don't miss dimming my light to make her feel better about herself. She's probably still out there telling people I was too sensitive, too cold, too unforgiving. Let her tell that story. I know the truth. I simply stopped accepting disrespect. And once you stop accepting it, you realize how much of it you were tolerating. She used my celebration to mock our marriage, turning love into a joke. I answered with silence and distance. Now she waits in the cold, realizing the show ended when I left the stage.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.